Hey everyone, it's Robin at One Paper Street. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really easy greeting card with some stamps, some layering ink, and a few ink dabbers. So let's get started. For this project I'm going to use some thick white cardstock. This is an 8.5 by 5.5 sheet of paper, and I'm going to score it right down the middle so that we can fold it in half and turn it into a card. After I've scored my cardstock, I'm going to take my 12 by 12 cutting mat and just place the card right on top of it so that I can fold it in half. Now that my paper is all set, I'm going to place it in my Misti stamping tool. It's fine if you don't have a Misti. If you're using clear stamps, you can always just use an acrylic block, and if you're using a wooden stamp, you can just use it as is. This is going to be a fun birthday card, so I'm using 3 glasses. One's a wine glass, a martini glass, and a little champagne glass, and I'm going to line them up in the center of the white paper to make my design. I also want it to be really even, so I'm going to use a ruler to line it up perfectly. Once my stamps are perfectly positioned, I'm going to close the lid to my Misti. The stamp will stick to the Misti lid, and then when I put the ink on it, it will stamp down into the same exact position that I have it in right now. I'm using 3 layering inks from Hero Arts today: Ultra Pink, Soft Cantalope, and Butter Bar. I'm also using 3 different dabbers, one for each ink color. Starting with the lightest color, Butter Bar, I'm going to dip my sponge into the ink and apply it diagonally on the glasses. So I'm going to put most of it on the first glass, but it'll bleed over a little bit onto the stem of the second glass as well. Once I'm done with Butter Bar, I'm going to do the same thing with the Soft Cantalope. With the Soft Cantalope, I'm also going to make sure it gets its way onto all 3 glasses, because again, I'm just moving it diagonally across all 3 stamps. I'll finish up with Ultra Pink on the last 2 glasses. Every time I move the dabber off screen, I'm really just dipping it into the ink pad to get a little bit more color on it. I want a nice clean picture, so I'm not going to stinge on how much ink I use. Once I'm done inking up my image, I'm going to flip the Misti lid over and stamp the image onto the paper. I'm going to press firmly with my fingers so that all the ink gets on there properly. A Misti is also really great if you're trying to make multiple cards at once, because you can just pull out the paper, put a brand new sheet in, stamp it all over again, and it's going to fall in exactly the same position. It's really nice. I'm going to do the same thing with my sentiment by positioning it on the card exactly where I want it, and then closing the lid again and picking it up. Once I'm ready for ink, I'm going to use my black Archival ink from ColorBox. It dries quickly and it's really easy to use. I'm going to pick up the ink pad and place it directly on the stamp and press down a few times to make sure I get enough ink. Then I'm going to do the same thing I did before, close the lid and stamp the sentiment onto the card. If the image isn't on the card clearly enough, I can put more ink on the stamp and just close the lid again to get a more clear image. Alright, so I'm all done stamping, but there's a few other things I want to add to this card to make it a little bit more special. I'm adding a 4" by 5 1/4" insert into the inside of the card to round out my design a little bit. Later I'll add a 3.75 by 5" insert that reads "It's Your Birthday" on top of the pink insert, but I ran out of cardstock and had to run to the store, so I'll show you that at the end of the video. Okay, so I have these rhinestones and I want to place a tiny mint green one onto the martini glass to make it look like an olive sticking out of it. This will be the finishing touch on the card, and honestly, probably my favorite part of the whole design. Here's the insert I promised earlier. I used my Cricut machine to draw the words "It's Your Birthday," but you could use any stamp to add the sentiment to. I'll place it inside the card and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you liked the video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, or check out my website at onepaperstreet.com. That's ONE Paper Street. Thanks so much and take care.